now there's so much to know. Earning bits, travel dreams we sow, all aboard the great Indian Points and Miles show. 0 to hero in the blink of an eye. Fly first class, no need to be shy. Redemption sweet, touching the sky. Award seats booked, let's give it a try. Award seats booked, let the points flow. It's all aboard the great Indian Points and Miles show. Unlocking journeys wherever you go. The sky's the limit, feel the travel mojo.
Hello and welcome to a very special live stream of the Great Indian Points and Miles Show. We're live right now. I want to start by saying a big thank you to each one of you for joining us. It means a lot that you've taken out time to geek out on points and miles with us on this lovely Friday evening. For most of us, this weekend is just getting started. If you're tuning in, drop a comment on the chat and let us know where you're joining in from and what your favorite credit card is. Let's get that AV Geek and CC Geek energy flowing in the comments. Today's live stream is going to be a deep dive into the Avios ecosystem, a currency that's deceptively simple, yet wildly powerful when you know how to work it. Our goal today is to unpack for you how British Airways, Qatar, Iberia, Finnair, and others come together in what we call the shared currency playground, and how Indian credit cards can be your golden ticket, and how to spot those juicy redemptions and in Ameya style, double dips that make your inner AV geek do a happy dance. And with me today are two absolute gurus from the Points and Miles universe, Dhimant and Ameya, who've cracked the code on using Avios smartly from India and beyond. So with that, swagat hai Dhimant, swagat hai Ameya.
Hey, good evening.
Let's go ahead, Ameya, you were saying?
Oh, no, nothing. I'm sure a lot of people are joining post-work. So yeah, welcome. Hope you had however your week was. Hope we are starting the weekend off on a good note.
We say no. We always say right. We always say right. कि मतलब Friday से Sunday things just fly away. So at least it's a good start to that flying time, right? Let's start with this and see where we go.
Absolutely. There are lots of comments that have already started coming in. So let's welcome a few of them. Neeraj, thanks for coming in. Glad you're enjoying the show. Neeraj also says that he had a blast at Pullman, Bali. Wow, man, that sounds really fun, Neeraj. Do a Twitter thread on what your redemption story was like. We'd love to see and learn. Kaushik is saying 6:15. Let's get the party started. Absolutely, yeah. That's why we are here. Lakhandipati is a regular on the show. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. We have Madhav. I love this comment. It's so good to see this comment. I wanted this for so long, so it's lovely to see you. Prashant, good to see you here. Guys, Prashant is this amazing entrepreneur we met in Bangalore when we did our recent Points and Miles meetup called Flight Ahead. We had a chance to hang out with him. Had a really fun time. Great guy, Prashant. Thanks for coming in. Abhimanyu, good to see you, Abhimanyu. Akash is here. Akash, good to see you. We've got a lot of you who are tuning in. Thanks for coming in. I'll keep flashing these comments and they'll keep appearing on screen. So let's get this chat going. But in the spirit of staying honest to today's theme and conversation, we're going to keep it about Avios. So whatever questions you have about Avios, please dump them here. I will flag them. I will try and answer them either now or towards the end of the session, however it comes as part of the flow of the conversation. So we've planned some structure for this time around, and we'll try and follow that structure. And we'll keep flashing your comments on screen, but at the same time, we'll keep asking Ameya and Dhimant any questions. So let's get started. So let's get into segment one. Our segment one is what I call what is the Avios ecosystem. And my objective for y'all is to establish a foundational understanding of the Avios ecosystem. So Dhimant, we'll get started with you for the first section. Tell us what exactly is the Avios currency. Break it down for us.
Hey, thanks, Adil. I think thank you so much for taking some of these comments. I think I saw a comment which said that somebody is tuned in from Melbourne, and it was so amazing to see it, man. Like whoever that person was, like thank you so much for tuning in, and it means a lot to us. Diving straight into the question that Adil asked, right? Think about Avios like a currency. And it's a currency that originally started from British Airways, and there are a set of partners who used it, like Iberia, Vueling, Aer Lingus. Uh, but interestingly, when the real value for this currency got unlocked, when one world alliance power gets added to this currency. So there are partners like Qatar, for example, who also have started using Avios as a currency now. And suddenly you have this entire global redemption open up to you, for both earn and burn as options, right? So imagine more global destinations, imagine more value for your money. And that is why we're doing this episode, folks, right? So in a very simple way to answer Adil's question, it's a currency. Now, whether this currency is valued at 30 paise, 50 paise, 1 rupee or 2 rupee, this is what we are going to try and unpack in this episode, right? And that's the beauty of it, right? I mean, you can easily get X value, but can you get 2X the value? And that's what you want to focus on.
Fantastic. So let's get into it. Let's unpack this a little more, Dhimant. So if you think about Avios, buzzwords that hit me are first British Airways Executive Club. Then I hear Iberia Plus. Then I hear about QPC, which is Qatar Privilege Club. Then I hear about Aer Lingus. Then there is something called Finnair Plus. And finally, there is something called Vueling Club. You want to tell us a little bit about this, the shared adoption of this currency, what your experience has been like? Where have you transferred? How have you benefited? Have you made a few screw ups at all? And what have you learned out of it?
Got it. Got it. I think let me break this down into the core partners and the extended partners for Avios, right? Like I said, many people use this currency now. And the good part is Avios ecosystem is expanding, Adil, right? And what is happening is they're also trying to get more and more partners embedded in the Avios ecosystem, right? For example, Finnair has been now part of using Avios, right? So which brings in a lot of more interesting earning and burning opportunities. Now, let's unpack this, right? Think about British Airways as the hub of the Avios ecosystem for a minute, right? While there is no specific advantage that you get by using Avios on British Airways, but think of it like a hub, and I'll try to cover it why, right? You mentioned few airlines, right? Iberia, Vueling, Aer Lingus. Now, these are specific airlines operating in specific countries, right? So, for example, Iberia operates in Spain, right? Similarly, all of these airlines work in certain countries, right? And they adopt the Avios currency. Now, the beautiful part is there is a very simple in certain times and convoluted ways in certain times to transfer this currency from one program to another. Uh, what does this mean for all of us? It simply means that if your credit card partner allows redemption on a certain ratio to a certain partner, you can without worrying do that and then internally move Avios in the Avios ecosystem, right? Let's take a classic example. When the devaluation happens of Axis, which is a very common, unfortunately, very common occurrence these days, you are forced to transfer something, or let's say, आपका Group A का limit is getting over, the timeline is getting over, and you have 1 lakh of Group A left, right? What do? Most of us transfer to Accor. This is what I also did, right? The beauty of this is that if you do not have any Accor stays for you, you can move the Accor stash to Iberia at 1:1. Right now, think about this. What you've done, you moved your access devaluation to a safe currency, which is Accor, which anyways gives you 2 rupees value. You're now also seen that if you ever need Avios, you can move it to Iberia. Now, once you move it to Iberia, you you can in the future move it to British Airways. There is a way of doing it, and I will cover it slightly later because it's a little complex. You can then move this currency from Iberia back to back to British Airways, and British Airways can then convert to Qatar Privilege Cup. So, in short, you are now access to 1:1 on Accor, on Iberia, on British Airways, on Finnair, and also on all of the One World partners, because once you are in Qatar gives you fantastic redemption options across the entire One World alliance, right? So it's almost I can confidently say, Adil, that there is not a single destination that gets left out if you are in the Avios ecosystem from a at least travel lens, right? So I'm just going to pause here because that's one big part of understanding the Avios interoperability. Just one last part, before I finish this, HDFC has the super premium cards like Infinia, for example, have 1:1 Finnair, right? So which means that they may not have any other partner at 1:1 for the Avios ecosystem, but Finnair exists. And the moment you have it in Finnair, 1:1 across the entire ecosystem is unlocked for you. Similarly, in the Axis ecosystem, you have three ways of doing it. You can directly go to Qatar, right, at 1:1. You can go to Accor and then keep your option open of either going to Qatar later or stay in Accor. And then you also have, let's say, an HSBC, jahan pe Avios is 1:1 already, right? So any partner of Avios, it has British Airways, but you can do it across any partner, right? So this is how the beauty of the interoperability works.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you for sharing that. There are already questions coming up which are very relevant to what you're talking about, Dhimat. Open question to both you and Ameya. Let's get started with this one. Madhav has a very relevant question. Madhav says he's sitting on 120K Avios. He's very confused what to do. What are let's share with Madhav 2 or 3 options that he could do using these 120K Avios.
Amma, you want to go first?
Yeah. Depends on how many people are traveling. I think that is the single biggest qualifier. But I think the biggest benefit of Avios, right? I mean, you're already sitting on these many Avios is great. But one of the biggest benefits of Avios, which Dhimat also noted, was that number one, it is possible to earn from multiple sources. Number two, it is possible to spend on multiple airlines, right? I know we are just coming out of a full week of office work, but the key word to use here is fungibility. Avios is a very fungible currency. You can use it across the board. So let's put it this way, right? So let's assume that you're doing short distance. Your top partner and something that I talk about a lot is going to be Sri Lankan Airlines. Sri Lankan Airlines via Qatar, you can get it at 7,000 Avios for economy, one way ticket, right? So literally with 7,000, you can do like eight round trips essentially. If my maths is mathing still. Right away, which is a big deal. You want to go next, you want to do something like Malaysia, Japan, those sets you will be able to get in, 20 something, close to 30,000, 20,000 to 30,000 Avios on Qatar. You can start there. You want to go a step further, you want to go into Europe. Around 120K is something that is going to get you a round trip ticket into anywhere in Europe via Finnair. Or you want to go into America. This is going to get you a business class ticket, including potentially one round of Qsuites all the way into the US without single hop. So options are there across the board. And I think through the course of this session, we will cover and we will go deeper into what are the sweet spots across various airlines, where can you use it for, but lots of flexibility depending on your situation.
Follow-up question for you, Ameya. There's another one where Siddhant is asking, any way to use Avios for a Vietnam trip?
Not directly per se, right? Like, because Vietnam, the big airlines that you can use to get in are either, I think essentially you can either go on the SkyTeam ecosystem where you can use Flying Blue and whatnot. The other one is the Star Alliance itself. You can take a hopping flight similar to what Dhiman did. I don't think directly, unless I'm wrong, Dhiman.
You can. So what comes to my mind is using your Avios for a Vietnam trip is you can do Cathay. So take a hop off at Hong Kong. There is a park. Take a break at Hong Kong. Stay for one night. Continue to Vietnam, because Vietnam there is direct connectivity from Hong Kong. That's what I would have done, Siddhant. There is no direct connectivity as far as I know from on the Avios ecosystem for going to Vietnam directly, because Vietnam Airlines is not a part of it, and neither is VietJet, right? So I am not sure about. There is no direct connectivity as far as I know, Siddhant. I think your best bet would be to try Cathay, I feel.
I'll also call out that on Cathay, if you're able to call them up, you'll basically be able to get a free stopover. So essentially, what you
Yeah.
can do is, without having to pay for the extra flight, go into Hong Kong, stay for a couple of days, and then move to Vietnam.
There you have it. So hope you enjoyed that, Siddhant. The follow-up question for Amia. Tamal says he's just applied for the IndusLand Avios card. What can he do to effectively utilize his 20K welcome points?
I think all these things that we talked of. So 20K will get you, as I said, 7,000 return trip to Sri Lanka. If you're able to increase this 20K with 5K more points with more spends, 25K you can get a return trip to Hong Kong. And as you keep adding more and more avios, you can add more and more. In fact, Tamal, one thing that I'll also call out, and we'll go into some detail here, is that if someone in the family can get another avios card, and you've got 20K plus 20K, 40K inside your Qatar account, they do have some family pooling options, which will potentially enable you to use the 40K together. And so that also remains an opportunity.
Yeah, what I would recommend here, Adil, is to Tamal is that at least this is what I feel. Like, if you do not want to do something like a Sri Lanka, like once you get the card, don't worry about using your 20K welcome points to start with. Think about how you can stack up a stash, right? It is very much possible to stash up, let's say, a 50, 60K Avios very easily. Use your card for everyday spends that you are anyways going to spend. Disclaimer, guys, I am not wanting you to guys overspend to get your Avios, right? Use your Avios card for your daily spends. See, change your primary card for some time, right? Because you got a new card. Use it around. You will find sweet spots on your own, right? So my view is that gather at least a 50, 60K, or you can go the other way route. If you have a trip coming in and you want desperately points, get another card in the family. That is another option. But I would say stash up points and collect a stash, and then think about those places where the card gives you multipliers, for example, or there are sweet spots, right? So that's what my recommendation would be.
Awesome. There is a fun note for Dhimant and Amaya from Arun. He's saying that he's watching live from Vidyarthi Bhavan having masal dosa. Man, send one for me. Send one for me.
Amaya doesn't
Amaya
like
and
it. So
Dhimant
Amaya
are
is
too
out.
health conscious these days. Mere liye ek de
No.
do.
It's not like I don't like it. I just find it overrated. I've eaten Vidyarthi Bhavan for 20 years, 25 years. So I don't know. Maybe I feel it used to be better.
Dose wars.
Cool. Srivat is saying that he's waiting for the 19th. Absolutely, Srivat, we're with you. We're very excited about next week. We're hosting Miles Ahead, which is our Points and Miles workshop for the first time in Bangalore. We will email you details soon. Please keep a tab on your mailbox. You'll hear from us by Wednesday. And then we look forward to meeting you on Saturday next week. With that, let's go back and continue the live stream. To all of you who joined in, big thank you. I see more than 520 of you are live right now. We are broadcasting live on Twitter and YouTube. I see there are 140 odd people who are live on YouTube, and from 3 different handles on Twitter, Dhimant, Adils, and the Great Indian Mile. I'm seeing that more than 520 of you have made it to our show this evening. Big thanks for tuning in. We're talking about Qatar Avios as a currency. What we've covered so far in section 1 is what is the Avios system. We've helped you get a foundational understanding. We're now moving to segment 2, where we will help viewers understand how do you earn Avios in India. So Amya, we'll start with you. Talk about which Indian cards allow transfers to the Avios program.
Oh, yeah, awesome. So I think let's run through the list, right? We have a lot of cards which allow transfer into Avios, and that's a benefit for us because irrespective of what anyone's choices with respect to the cards they keep, they can all move into Avios. Let's get into the entire list, right? So HDFC first. Let's get that out of the way. HDFC lets you transfer directly into Finnair. It also lets you transfer to Qatar, but that's pointless because the value is double. But HDFC will get you into Finnair, which is the Avios ecosystem. ICICI, unfortunately, nothing. HSBC will let you put inside British also and Qatar also, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, that's again a one-to-one. We get into Axis, obviously. Axis has got Qatar as a Group A partner. So Axis will let you dump directly. And probably the best card out there, which is our IndusInd Avios card that I've been talking so much about. This will get you, again, I think there have been a lot of viewer questions about this. So let me just call out and talk about, whether this card is worth it, not worth it, and so on, right? So number one, you pay 10,000 rupees joining fees. You are getting 20,000 Avios. That is the first maths. Second maths is very simple. If you are getting this card, you have to aim for a 8 lakh spend within the year. If you are not aiming for that 8 lakh spend, forget about that card, right? So let's put it clear. First of all, if anything, get the card for the welcome bonus. Now, whether to spend on that card or not, you may want to, if you have spends that you think up to 8 lakhs you can hit, you will spend on that card. If not, you will not spend. And I'll tell you how the 8 lakh bonus works out. The moment you hit 8 lakhs, you are going to get roughly a 2.25 return in Avios because of the milestone benefit. So your base reward rate over here is 2.25. Now you also get another 1.5 Avios for every 100 rupees that you spend for regular spends, or it's like 3 for every 200. So same thing. So 2.25 plus 1.5 is 3.75 or whatever. All right. So 3.75 is the return that you're getting on regular spends, which is okay. But here's the kicker. They also have, it happens to be a great card for forex spends. So if you do travel to a specific country a lot, let's say you go to US for a lot of your work, when you get the card, you can select a preferred destination. And in this preferred destination, for every 100 rupees you spend, you're going to get 3 Avios, or rather, 6 for every 200. So what it gets you is like essentially 2% forex charge. It's probably a little lesser, 1.5 plus GST if I'm not wrong, and 3% return in Avios. So it doubles up as a great forex card. And if you're able to hit up to this 8 lakh kind of a thing, net you can get like a 4% return is what I'm calling out. So it also gives you limited rewards and utilities and stuff. So you could potentially use it to top up and get to this 8 lakh limit. So overall, the way I see it is very clear. Just for the welcome benefit, the card is absolutely worth it. Now, whether you take this card and you put it inside the drawer after this, I don't care. But just to pick up the welcome benefit, it is worth it. Number two, if you are going to spend on it to get incremental Avios, I will recommend do it as a combination of number one, either foreign spends. But the most important, make sure you hit that 8 lakh milestone. Focus on the 8 lakh milestone, get it done with, put the card inside your drawer after that. And I think just for everyone, there is a link in the description to the card. Mind you, it is an affiliate referral link. So, but if you're interested, if you think it's useful, please go ahead and apply.
Awesome. I think that was very well covered, Amya. Dhimant, any recommendations from you on the cards ecosystem in terms of what Amya covered? Are there specific ratios that you think people should keep in mind, like the two golden numbers that people swear by in today's credit card world are 5:4 and 2:1 or 1:2? Are there any specifics that you think people should keep in mind here? Are there, what according to you, along with this question, is today the best earning potential possibility for Qatar Airways?
Yeah, I kind of agree with Amaya. So I'll tell you how I am thinking about the Avios strategy at my end. And I think it makes a lot of sense to think about it that way. I would probably get this card, collect my 20K Avios, my joining benefit, right? And every incremental spend that I do with this card, I look at the opportunity cost of doing it with my best card, right? So, for example, let's break down this audience into one big bucket. Let the first bucket be anybody who is holding the Magnus Burgundy, right? I would recommend if you are an AP, spend on Magnus Burgundy. If you have an Atlas, spend on Atlas and convert it to Avios, because that is far more efficient than spending it on this card, right? So I get my first 20K Avios from this card. If I have a redemption plan of Avios, for example, a lot of you guys would be aspiring to do a Qsuite, right? So if you are aspiring to do a Qsuite, I mean, get your 20K from this card, but probably your regular spends, Group A makes most sense in my view from Axis. That's what I'm going to do at least. The second way of doing it is if you have an HDFC Infinia card and you are not planning to fly the Singapore Airlines, the second best in my view is to convert it to Finnair and move it to a Qatar and add on to your stash, right? So my strategy, Adil, is simple. I'm going to use the card for sure. I'm going to time it, by the way, right? So I feel that I don't have a plan coming up in the next 3 months, so I've not applied for the card. I'm waiting for the right time to apply for this card. Once I have a signal, I'm going to, because see, by the way, one rule which everybody should follow is 365 days is when you start booking your reward seats on Avios. Please do not try to delay it. Qsuites is extremely hard to get availability on. Right, so if you want to plan it, don't say कि मैं 6 महीने के बाद लिया and suddenly I'm not seeing any availability. It's extremely hard to get Qsuite availability, right? So plan it 1 year in advance. Get your card, build your stash with Access Infinia if you have it. If you do not have the super premium cards, Atlas is the second best option in my view. If you do not have the Atlas also, for example, but you have an HSBC Premier, for example, or an HSBC Travel One, these are other options to kind of convert to Avios very seamlessly, right? So my 2 cents on this, and Amay, I will want to hear it from you if you also think the card for me makes most sense on the joining bonus. And if I don't have any other card which are converting to Avios, then probably I'll use this as my primary card.
Yeah, I think broadly I agree, right? Like, so for example, but the asymmetry sort of comes in with respect to a few of the things. For example, for foreign spends, it's a great card. Like if you compare against pretty much everything else that is there, like say you look at something like an Infinia, which is incredibly hard to get. Atlas is getting hard to get nowadays. This gives you a net of like 2%, 3% on forex, which is a great deal. So foreign spends, I think, is a great sweet spot. I see a bunch of user comments with respect to saying, can I use it for rent? Can I use it for taxes and stuff? Now on rent, it is allowed. It gives you diminished points. It's only 1 point for every 200 rupees. Similar for taxes as well. The conversion ratio is lower. So, but still net you're getting a profit. So I think it can be used well in certain scenarios. It can definitely be used well.
This is a very good one. Yeah.
The beauty of this card is the accessibility, because it's incredibly easy to get this card relative to everything else. It's also Visa Infinite, so you get a bunch of the Visa Infinite offers that come with it.
Yeah, but see, one thing very well put. I think this very well put, Amay. But I think one thing India ecosystem is getting hurt is from a fact that there is no other co-branded card in the ecosystem here, right? For example, if I'm not mistaken, there is an Amex DA card somewhere globally, if I'm not mistaken, right? So
globally, yeah, you have nothing. By the way, yeah, there used to be a beautiful ICICI VA card with like crazy redemptions, but they've stopped it, unfortunately.
Correct. Awesome.
No, but again, I think the broad call out is this, that it gives you returns equivalent to Atlas in some sense, right? Plus, it doubles up as a better forex card and incredibly easy to get. So I think to the broad audience that if you're in a situation where you think you do not have access to the premium cards, please pick it up by all means. If you have access to other ways of earning Avios, maybe you have the return redemptions, the reward rates are better, say with an Amex ecosystem or some other top-end access. But at the same time, the welcome bonus, it's a no-brainer, I feel.
Two people are still asking, I think, about the card. I think we are talking about the IndusInd Bank Avios card. And it comes in two variants, the BA variant, British Airways variant, and the Qatar variant. There has been an update on the card, and Amay spoke about the changes to the card. It has now basically become a cheaper card to acquire at 10,000 rupees. So just clarifying that, right? So yeah.
All right, we've got lots more questions coming in. I think we should take a few. So let's come to the first one. Siddhant has a question: do Avios expire?
It's 36 months if no activity. So essentially, every time you have any activity, it is going to get rolling pushed. So yeah, make sure you either do a activity to earn or spend these Avios. Otherwise, 36 months.
Yeah, I mean, something that you should not least worry about. My British Airways Avios has been lying forever in my Avios account, and something or keeps adding. So it's a very soft expiry, so you don't need to worry about expiry at all.
All right, let's come to Varun. Varun's asking, how does he book Malaysian Airlines? He's unable to find that option when he's trying to book via Qatar. He was trying to book Bangalore, Phuket.
It is from the Qatar website itself, Varun. However, I will call out that Malaysian is notorious for its award availability. A lot of times you can get relatively limited availability. I'd say look around for different dates. But on the Qatar website itself, you should be able to find it.
Hey, but one thing we should also be careful about is the fact that Qatar Pay reward availability opening for all airlines is not the same, right? So some airlines open X seats. For example, the same problem is also with Cathay, right? So Cathay opens X amount of seats on Qatar, but open Y amount of seats on its own website, right? So, Varun, you may also want to ensure that you speak to them once. Sometimes the Qatar CC is actually very good. So, just try it out as well.
Follow-up question by Ankit. How does one handle high taxes in the Avios ecosystem? For example, Delhi to Helsinki in Finnair is 60K Avios plus 22K on Finnair versus 60K plus 5K via Qantas.
Yeah, so within Avios, this is one of the bigger issues per se. Some of it comes down to the airlines passing the bag to you. The other ones sort of come down with respect to the airports itself, because a lot of your Avios big airports are, that is the carrier airports, are something like a Doha or like a London for British, which are notorious for nasty taxes anyway. So unfortunately, not much you can do. There are a few things you can play around with. So for instance, like I've heard that the Aer Lingus side of things, at least for the London taxes, those people are able to help you a lot with respect to gobbling up some of the big fees in London. With Finnair, unfortunately, you can't do much over here. If you want to feel a little better about this, in case you are planning a trip to somewhere else in Scandinavia, what Finnair actually gives you is that it gives you a free hop to anywhere else. So if you're doing like, Delhi, Helsinki, Stockholm, it's that same region where all of this is, you will get the Helsinki, Stockholm leg free. So I can't help you with taxes, but maybe this helps you save points on another flight.
Hey, also just to add here, Ankit, the way I think you should think about it is this, right? In fact, this is going to the earlier question also, which somebody asked about Malaysia, right? Bangalore to Phuket, like he was trying to book. Actually, honestly, if you ask me, I would never ever redeem my points for that sector, right? So it's not very efficient use of your Avios as well, right? So just adding that, number one. Number two, Ankit, the way I think about it is, if you are not flying Singapore Airlines, which is like a very low tax airline in most of the sectors that you fly on, in Qatar, the Qsuites that you're flying are typically priced on revenue very, very high, right? So even though the taxes are higher, as a fraction of what you're paying on revenue is still very, very low, right? So one way of doing it is via, looking at Qantas as an option. But in general, be ready to shell out decent amount of taxes. I don't have a very scientific way of reducing my taxes on a certain sector, Ankit. Right. So even if you look at Qantas, for example, they end up taking far more mileage on most sectors with lower taxes, right? So it all depends on whether you're sitting on too many of points versus how many points do you have, right? So that's how I would think about it.
By the way, one thing I'll call out on these lines, and I mean, this is not related to your flight, unfortunately, but British Airways has this scheme called, reward fare saver or something like that, RFS. So essentially, what that scheme will let you do is it will let you offset, some of these taxes with Avios, and more often than not, it can work out to be very economical. I don't think it's added in our description, but I'll make sure post the episode I update it inside the episode description. For people listening in, RFS, Reward Fare Saver. Just look it up on the British website.
Also, I think, Ankit, one more suggestion. You have mentioned Finnair and you mentioned Qantas, but I think, I don't know if you meant Qatar. This is Qantas, right? So even Qatar Pay, you can get the same flight, because I have actually booked Delhi to Finnair, this flight, same Helsinki flight on Qatar. It has got lower taxes than Finnair. It's not 22K for sure. Matlab, it's 15K or 13K if I'm not mistaken.
Finnair is generally the worst when it comes to taxes in all of these, especially on their own metal.
Finnair is a very high tax. Yeah, correct.
Great answers, gents. Let's keep this going. Lots more comments coming in. Question from Sunny. Can we use Avios via Amex or HDFC? He's got 2.5 lakh points in Amex and 1 lakh in HDFC. He's planning for a Europe trip next year. Or do you recommend some other method? Dimant, what are your thoughts here?
Sunny, very much doable. Aap Amex say you cannot get Amex say 1:1. It's not possible. So the best way to do it is move from Amex to Qatar at 1:2, 2:1, right? So if you have 2 lakh points in Amex, it's comes to around 1.25 lakh Qatar privilege points or Avios or whatever you call it, right? And in HDFC you have 1:1 Finnair. So you are basically moving Finnair. Now, here is how you engineer it, Sunny, right? So you first go to Amex, you convert your 2.5 lakh points to 1.25 lakh Qatar privilege points, which is Avios. You then actually go to HDFC, convert your HDFC to Finnair at 1:1. I'm assuming these are Infinia points. If it is Regalia, it will be half. So you can clarify that in the comments. Once you've done that, you need to move your Finnair points to British Airways, Sunny. And when you do British Airways transfer, please ensure you will need a UK VPN to do this. You cannot do it without a VPN. It will throw an error. So once you moved it to British to Qatar is very simple. On the Qatar app or the British app, you can directly move them, right? So that's so you're secured Qatar to British, and hence British to Qatar. So Qatar mein aa gaye points, and you already have your Amex points in Qatar. So you have roughly 1.25 plus 1, so around 2.25 points, and you can easily do Europe Qsuites if you have planned it in 365 days in advance. I would recommend that. At least for 2 people, you're covered. At least that's what my recommendation would be. I don't know if there is any other method. Amir, this is the best way of doing it, in my sense.
Yeah, I think you covered it well, Dhimant. Let's come to another one. And this is from our friend Abdul. Abdul, the regular on the podcast. He's a regular subscriber. Does buying Avios make sense? I want to do a business class from Manchester to Los Angeles.
If you have to do it, then I hope that you go into buying it only after getting the card, because the card is the cheapest way to buy Avios. But if you absolutely need to get it, I will say have a look at the subscription plan, especially the top end subscription. I think you eventually end up buying Avios at, if I'm not wrong, 1.3, 1.4 rupees per Avios, which is a little steep. But the subscription is what I would use. I would not buy Avios directly. I would use the subscription for relatively better value for money. But if not, I'd say, exhaust other options first. Make sure you try to get an IndusInd Avios card, get multiple in the family and pull it up. But if not all of this, obviously transfer your credit card points. But if you still think you need more and more and more, maybe you might want to do the subscription. It's a recently launched one.
Hey, he can also do like the Accor Brazilian program, right? If he buys the Accor Brazilian program, that gives him like 5,000 Accor points a month, which is like 60,000 a year. And every quarter they throw in 5K more. So he gets 80K Accor points. And those Accor points can move 1:1 to Qatar. So therefore, for about a lakh change, I'm not sure exactly how much it is. I think it should be around 1,10,000.
1,15,000, you will get 75,000.
80,000, right?
75. 75. Every 4 months, you get 5,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think there's
the way you should think about it is if you already have an Accor Plus subscription, this could fast track you to potentially Platinum. Think about it if you do a few stays and a combination. So you could get Qatar Avios on the cheap, and you could also hack your way to Platinum on Accor, because the Brazilian plan also gives you status lines. Anyways, that was my thought. Sorry, Dhimant, you wanted to say something.
There's a better way of thinking about it also, Abdul. While it's very similar to what Adil was saying, I'm assuming that you want to buy Avios because your current Axis ecosystem Group A doesn't allow you to move it to Avios, because you want to move it to, let's say, Accor, right? The right way to think about it is, rather than buying Avios, transfer your Axis points to Avios and buy some other currency, because jahan pe offers run hote, right? For example, Accor buy karna today is a far more easier proposition via the Accor Brazilian program. So what I would do is, I would rather first use my Group A limit on Avios, and whenever I need Accor, I would get the signature program and then accumulate Accor there. I'm assuming that you have access point at least, but you don't want to move it to Avios. That's how I would think about it. But similar in what you said. So this will save you, Adil, from converting that entire stash to Iberia, to British, to Qatar. आप directly Axis से transfer कर लो Avios में, and then use it to build Accor stash.
Makes sense. Amya के लिए एक बहुत अच्छा comment है. Amya looks different. Too busy, Amya. What's the scene?
Man, don't tell me. Yesterday I had 9 hours of Zoom calls. So
Cool. We'll get back to more happy comments for Amya that he'll probably enjoy answering. So Anisha's got a question. What is the best redemption for Qsuites to NZ from Bangalore?
Oh, this is easy, but you will need to go in time. We go Bangalore to Doha and then Doha to Auckland. Doha to Auckland is one of the longest flights that there is. Absolutely the best way to do it, but you will need to book ahead of time. Availability over there is very dicey. You need to keep an eye out on the. It's like, you have to fly that for the sake of flying that flight. Find
I
the
think
dates
she's
where you're able to get it.
I think she's asking which program, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, Qatar itself, directly on Qatar, their own metal.
Would Jal also make sense, Amay, to book Qsuites from New Zealand to Bangalore? Would it be
You could do,
cheaper to book via Jal?
yeah, JAL is doable, but JAL, the thing is your award availability already it is low. With JAL, it's going to be even lower. So here, I think it's a little bit of, I mean, maybe JAL is definitely a little more optimal solution mileage-wise. But on the other hand, availability is a bigger concern for you. So if you want to get it, might as well go through Qatar. Practical tip is Qatar, please. Yeah.
Amya, I think for you, there's another double dip suggestion. The Colonel, whoever is the Colonel, suggests if you ever book Royal Caribbean luxury cruise worldwide, you can earn Avios. Remember to book from the Ireland, UK, Spain version of the website. It's a great hack, Colonel. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. And in fact, now that you are on this, now let me just steal the screen for a little bit of time. But there is a lot of these things you can do. So again, history is that Avios happened to be the original British Airways, partner, and British Airways has put in a number of solutions which will let you earn Avios as a part of daily spends, largely in the UK, but even otherwise. So here's a few that I will call out now. Number one. There is something called Avios Hotels. If we have an upcoming podcast episode in next week in which we'll talk about it. But Avios Hotels is essentially a hotel portal that will let you earn Avios for booking hotels. It's an Expedia wrapper. And by default, it is 10 Avios for every £1 that you spend. But in special cases, like if there's an offer going on, for example, in January of this year, you could get 20 Avios for every 100 rupees that you spend. So imagine you had the Indocent Avios card, plus you had this. Not only do you get points for foreign spend, plus you get 20 Avios for every 100 rupees that you're spending from there. So people without access to a super premium card, beautiful way to earn Avios. Then there are more things with respect to this. There's an Airbnb portal. You spend every 100 rupees, you get 2 Avios for that. So you're staying in Airbnbs, you can use that. Not just this, you go one step further. You have Avios has a holiday package offer. There's a great offer going on for certain holidays right now, by the way. But essentially, what you have to do is you have to book one hotel, one flight, and one car rental, all three together. And if you do this, and if you think that it fits for what you want, you can get insane deals. Like I've seen things of 15,000 bonus Avios on top of every other earning that you're able to do. There's a Royal Caribbean one. If you guys stay in the UK, I guess there is a few people who've talked about it. There is the Nectar app, which you can use to get Avios in. So it's a big ecosystem. There's a lot of earning opportunities outside of regular things as well.
I think that was Amaya's signature double dip series for today. Thanks for sharing that, Amaya. Amaya, there's a question for you, follow up there from Amar. And Amar is saying, can you expand a little bit on Aer Lingus?
Sure. So Aer Lingus is essentially it's an Irish airline, right? So it's headquartered in Dublin. Let me simplify Aer Lingus across the board, right? Number one, the award charts are pretty much identical to British Airways for the most part, except for a couple of things. If you're looking for transatlantic flights on their own metal, right? So we all know that, say, London Heathrow is notorious for its nasty taxes. Aer Lingus can actually get you super cheap redemptions if you're doing Dublin to New York or something. So if you ever happen to be needing a flight in which you have to fly from Europe into America, instead of flying out of something like a London Heathrow, if you're able to get into Dublin, typically if you have a British visa, you can get into Dublin visa free anyway. Go to Dublin through whichever way, and then go away to America from there. That will save you a lot of money in taxes.
And one
Awesome.
sweet spot I had found on Aer Lingus was your East Coast US to Ireland was like 13,000 Avios only. That's a sweet spot, I think, which I had found out. Obviously, I never ended up using that route, but it's another very good sweet spot. Very good flight for 13K Avios.
Same one. So Dublin to East Coast, you get great deals.
Correct.
Look at the coincidence, right? Look at the power of this community. So we were talking about Royal Caribbean, right? And Sagar has messaged that he's an engineer working with Royal Caribbean. Come over anytime. Sagar, koi coupon code hai to de do yaar. If we can apply, and on top of Amaya's double dips, we can potentially score a Sagar triple dip. But man, this is so awesome to see, right? I mean, we just are talking about Royal Caribbean, and here comes somebody who's actually an engineer with Royal Caribbean. Awesome to see that, Sagar. Thanks for putting in that comment. Amar is saying that Ameya is in full form. Indeed, that's what happens when you do 9 hours of back-to-back Zoom calls. You get Ameya in absolutely smashing form. Another comment for Amiya. Ani91 says, you guys are killing it. Avios is Amiya's calling. Indeed. I think Deemat is also pretty Avios savvy and awesome at Avios, but absolutely, Amiya is smashing it today.
Amaya, a very funny note, if you look at a smiley, right, they typically have yellow and white. As Amaya, those smiley colors, mein, like he's in that emoji colors.
Absolutely. Let's come to another one. So, Deemant, why don't you take this? Samparit is saying he booked Rome, Delhi on revenue using his Atlas. Now that he has his milestones on it and he has 30,000 points to transfer, is there a way he can transfer this and upgrade using Avios for the revenue booked flight that he has?
Which flight has he booked? But I don't understand that. Like, which has he booked an Avios flight or like which airline is this? I'm a little confused here. Rome to New Delhi, which flight is this? I mean,
Sampath, if you
on Avios ecosystem. Yeah, please give us a little more details, Samarprit, or you can probably DM us on Twitter and we can try and answer this question. Like a little more specific, please.
Yeah, if you can DM us or just fall back, reply on the comment and give
He said
details specifics.
chat.
Yeah,
Qatar,
so
he's saying
Qatar,
Qatar.
right? So Samarprit, here is the point. Qatar doesn't have an option to do this on the app. You have to call the Qatar CC. You can quote your PNR that you booked with revenue, and they will give you an option of upgrading with your mileage points. It is not available to do on your app, by the way, and there is no way to kind of do it online. So you'll have to call this call center. They indeed allow this. Again, it depends on the fare category of your revenue flight. So on certain fares, it's not upgradable using Avios. So you'll have to call CC and they will help you out with this. I hope that answers the question, Samarprit.
Yeah. So, I'm going to feature Sagar again. We were just talking about Royal Caribbean, and I was saying, koi coupon code de do. Sagar is saying on the house. Sagar, you don't know me, Amey and Dhiman. For all you know, we'll immediately apply for leave. Tomorrow morning, we'll be there with our bags at Royal Caribbean, saying that on board us, we have booked via Sagar. So again, but thanks so much, Sagar, for extending your hospitality. Very excited, and if at all we travel, we'd love to kind of get in touch. So with that, back to more questions. Let's take more questions. Chaya has an interesting question. Amya, why don't you take this? Given the limited options to transfer to Avios, would you transfer Amex point to Marriott or Avios or neither? Chaya has 600,000 points and looking to optimize. My quick sense would be, if you want to transfer to Avios, I would say transfer directly. If you transfer to Marriott and then to Avios, then you're cutting your ratio because it becomes 3:1 instead of 2:1. That's the short answer. But Amya, 600,000 points. What are the possibilities there?
First of all, I'll disagree with the first part of the statement saying limited options to transfer to Avios. I think it's one of the most versatile programs out there in India. But it really depends on what you want to do, Chaya. If you think, it's definitely possible to get great value. I'd argue better value than Marriott as well through Avios. But I do not know what your plans are. It really depends on what you want to do with it. I'm sorry
Look,
for
Chaya,
giving the answer,
yeah.
but
No, Chaya, see, I'll tell you what I feel about this. I think it's a great question. And first of all, like our number one recommendation always is speculatively don't transfer anything. So keep on to your 600K points in your Amex account. That's the safest place to keep your points. Keep it there. Once your plans are made, here is my 2 cents. If you ever have an option or a holiday where you have flight plus hotels that you both want to book with points, prioritize your 600K points for Marriott is what I would recommend. So for example, if you're going to Hong Kong, right, you can transfer first and book the Ritz-Carlton, for example, using your Marriott points, right? Because you'll get a better ratio and a great value out of it. And then probably using the remaining points, either do a Cathay with your Avios, or you can actually look at other cards that you have and move it to Axis, etc. My suggestion would be that Amex is not the most efficient way. I would say it's the least efficient way of moving to Avios, right? Because you have other cards and programs which allow you to move it to 1:1, right? So that's what my 2 cents are.
Let's come to a question from Prashant. Dhiman, back to you. What locations, destinations are good redemptions for a family with kids? what sector has good availability for Avios redemption? Let's say families of 4. What's possible here?
Yeah, start with let's go from towards India to outside India, right? So let's first say Hong Kong is the closest option using Avios. Like if you do it smartly, it is the cheapest way of doing a Hong Kong trip on economy, right? 12 and a half, 13,000 Avios one way plus minimal taxes, 4,000 rupee taxes. So if you are a family of 4 other, like you said, you are basically talking about 52,000 Avios. 1 lakh Avios mein you can do a return trip for 4. You will find probably 4 tickets. There's a good chance you will on economy and minimal taxes, right? So you're talking about 32,000 taxes at max, 32,000 or 40,000. That's the best destination for a family. Also very easy to get a visa. Second option is obviously you can do Japan via Cathay. Again, I'm talking about Cathay because we are going inside out and moving towards outside. This is Southeast Asia. If you were to go to the other side, Prashant, obviously, like Doha in itself is not probably the greatest destination to go, but आप वहां से पूरा यूरोप कनेक्ट कर सकते हो कतार से. So the Avios का beauty is that the moment you enter the Qatar ecosystem, the entire Europe is open for you, right? So like you can do Italy. Italy is a beautiful destination. You could do Belgium, right? I mean, all of these get open with Qatar. So in my head, I think that's how I think about it, Avios. The entire Europe opens up to you.
Yeah,
I
I
have
think
also
that's a great
the
point.
Sri Lanka flight that is there that I keep talking of.
Yeah.
I know someone who did like 6 business class tickets on that. So availability is great. In case you want to have that nice flight experience, it's always an option.
But Prashant, if your question was specific to availability and because Qatar has limited seats and that's what your challenge was, I think this is like I said, consistent challenge on the Avios ecosystem, right? Minus, let's say, a few exceptions, you will most probably have, you'll have to plan in advance. Like that's at least my recommendation. Economy, you will still be able to get on Qatar, own metal. Business is really hard to score.
I think you summarized it well, Dhimant. You said like what's beautiful about Qatar and Doha is it connects you to most of Europe. And then even if you want to fly to US, that's like a great option, right? I mean, 16 hours in a Qsuite, there are seldom better experiences than
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
let's come to a question for Ameya. Rakesh has this question, Ameya. 1 award seat, Bombay to Europe on Qatar shows saver or classic fare. But when you change this to 2 packs, it shows only flexi high fares for both. How do you go ahead with this? Do you do different bookings with different PNRs? Should he book like the saver fare and then risk it with 1 flexi fare? Or should he book 1 classic, 1 revenue fare? Should he, like, just to be safe, book what we call flexi fares? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, unfortunately, not too much more you can do. So the thing is that a lot of time, and Qatar is notorious for this, like they will release their seats sequentially sometimes. If booking 2 separate ones works out, I think that can potentially be decent, but no guarantees that it will work or not work. No other tricks that I know of per se on this.
I think your best bet is to book 1 saver and 1 flexi because the moment you book 1 saver, even the second PNR won't show the saver option at all, in my view. So that's what will happen.
Yeah, and I would say, Rakesh, try and solve. So it's a function of what you're trying to solve for. Right? So if you're trying to solve for, if you're going with your partner and you just want to have a calm and peaceful trip, then I would say just book it on the same PNR. Don't risk doing all this natak. But if you feel like you want to risk it, then I think what you can do is you can do 1 classic. If for some reason the flexi disappears, be open to booking the other one on revenue. But if you're absolutely not on revenue, then your plans change. So I just say be a little practical on this. There's no right way to doing this. Everybody has a different philosophy. Go whatever your heart says best. Or kabhi kabhi yaar, ek redemption thoda महंगा पड़ जाएगा. It's no big deal yaar. Ultimately, you're still having a great time. Qatar's a great flight. You'll love the hospitality.
I have one recommendation, Adil, which could work. Rakesh, please do try checking the same flight on Iberia. I have seen unique cases where a better fare, the classic fare or the saver fare, there is extra seats available on Iberia. Although the mileage requirement is slightly higher, it's not like as high as the flexi fare. but you may get a better chance of getting 2 tickets. So every time you try Qatar, you should always try Iberia as well. I mean, that's at least my recommendation.
You bet. I think that's very practical. Let's come to. We have more questions. Lots more questions here. Viral asked this question. He's seen a video related to Hong Kong earlier. What's an alternate way to book besides Asia Miles, which is Cathay Pacific? And in that episode, I think we also covered that you could book it via Qatar. So, Amya, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think either Qatar or Iberia is great. And I think just alluding to Dhiman's past point that Qatar is notorious for not showing availability on some routes, especially one-way routes. Like I've seen, for example, Bangalore to Hong Kong, sometimes it never shows up on Qatar. Chennai to Hong Kong also at times I've seen it can be dicey. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it doesn't. So I'd say, yeah, you can book using Avios. And within that, in general, I found it to be most consistent on the Iberia side. But if you're getting availability on Qatar, then why not just pick up both legs?
So, Viral, here is what these questions sometimes feel like Group D questions that we used to have in school, right? कि problem है लेकिन इसको और difficult बनाएंगे. But I'll tell you what, Viral, this is how I think. If you don't want to do Asia Miles, which is actually the best way of booking, but if you do not have Asia Miles for whatever reason, right? Qatar. If you don't find availability, check Iberia. Mileage and taxes are almost the same. Third option is Qantas. Sometimes you will see on Qantas as well. Qantas also has an additional benefit of having multiple ways. So, for example, if you have less, mileage points, you can still choose higher revenue plus mileage option in Qantas. The fourth option is JAL. You can also book the Cathay flight via JAL, right? So, because it's part of One World, you can definitely do that. In most cases, it depends on where your points are stuck with it. So, if you have points in JAL, JAL se bhi try kar lo. Like I have seen the availability across all these 4 partners is poor as compared to Asia Miles, but it should be similar in most cases.
All right. The question from Priyam. He's moving to Europe for a new job in September. Congratulations, Priyam. Very, very happy for you. He's got 50K Amex points, 50K Regalia Gold points. How can he redeem these for his travels in Europe? Amya, you want to take this one?
1 minute. I forgot to unmute. Yeah, you can definitely use them. 50K Amex. Internal flights within Europe, you can definitely get a few sweet spots. I think so. One thing you'll want to look at if you're like focusing on the Avios is that British Airways, a lot of times they've got this one, what do you call that? Like off-season charts, which can get you like pretty cheap flights within Europe, like 4,500 points, 5,000 points. That is the range. The second thing that I'll also call out, and I don't know if the Baltics are in the same zone as Finland for your this thing, but Finnair also you can get, if you're going into Scandinavia side, you can get like reasonably cheap flights. One more little, not really Avios-ish, but nice Accor hack is that there are these set of trains that go by the name of the company is called Eurostar. If you are able to get Eurostar trains, typically they're a lot more Western Europe, but they can provide a great way to earn Accor points. So keep it in mind.
You can also do Flying Blue as an option inside Europe for flights. That's a great option. So if you convert your HDFC points to Flying Blue, that could be another option because you'll get quite cheap flights on Flying Blue.
If you're going to Spain side, Iberia and the Qatar, this one can actually work out well. Same funda. Iberia also has a season and off-season thing. And if you're able to get off-season flights into somewhere like Spain, you can get it incredibly cheap on Iberia.
All right, Priyam, hope that's helpful. Congratulations again on your new move. All the best. There's a question by Avi. Dhimant will come to you. What is the best card to get if you're looking to maximize return on flights to Europe?
Yeah, Avi, the best, it's undoubtedly Atlas, right? Because at the end of the day, you're talking about flights to Europe. Europe के लिए अगर आप देखोगे तो which are the airlines that would fly you there? It would be Qatar. Qatar is number one in that sense, right? Obviously, there is Flying Blue, which will take you to Europe, right? So in my sense, you look at the earning ratio because there are a lot of partners that, let's say, Access Atlas it has also not a super premium card. It's extremely cheap to get right? So it's a little harder to get than a basic card, but yeah, I mean, I would suggest Access Atlas is a great start if you want to go to Europe. Like at least that's my single suggestion if I had to give. Or if you are at a stage where you're not getting the Access Atlas, also consider, let's say, a Regalia ecosystem, Regalia Gold to start off with. The ratios are lower, but it'll start giving you those transfer partner options at least.
Right, let's come to more questions. Sparsh says he's seeing in a lot of sectors, Qatar is sharing first leg to Doha with Indigo. How's the experience? And can you double with Avios and blue chips? Now, we'll come to EMEA for the double dip, but a good friend of mine's favorite airline is Indigo. Dhiman, क्या कहना चाहेंगे आप इस बारे में?
Like, you didn't add your favorite topic, just telling everybody that I'm a tier 1 member of Indigo
You
as
are.
well.
So, guys, so, okay, iska khulasa karte aaj. You walked right into it. So, guys, Dhiman loves Indigo. That is very clear. You all have seen enough of our videos. But at the same time, Indigo recently launched their frequent flyer program, which is blue chip. There are 4 tiers. So everybody starts with the base tier, which is tier 4. And then there's tier 3, tier 2, tier 1. Dhiman is a tier 1 member. Can you imagine? And he enjoys flying Indigo. But with that, Dhiman, back to the question. Hey, by the way, I just noticed this is Sparsh. Sparsh was there for our meetup flight mode. Again, Sparsh, good to see you, man. Thanks for coming for flight mode, and good to see you at the live stream here. Back to you, Dhiman.
Well, good part is that your face is very smiling on the photo that you have, like for a Friday evening. ऐसा लग रहा है कि आप Friday mood में already आ गए हो. So,
Sparsh का LinkedIn पे भी बहुत smiling face है.
Yeah, so Sparsh, the thing is very simple. If you book your reward, first of all, I'll answer the first question later. Let me answer the second question first. Can you double with Avios and blue chips? So here is the point, right? You can definitely take the flight of Indigo in the first leg, and you can quote your Indigo number and get blue chips. Can you get both Avios and blue chips? Answer is no. You'll have to choose one of the frequent flyer number, but you can get either. Right. So the way at least I'm thinking about it is ki, because it's easier to earn blue chips with Indigo on Swiggy, etc. So I'm earning from there. I would have definitely used my Avios frequent flyer number even on the Indigo leg, because it gives you full 100% miles as part of the agreement that they have. Right now, coming to the sector wala part, see, is my personal opinion, Sparsh. I don't mind flying Indigo from the first leg, and whatever I've heard from people who have flown that leg, the Indigo sector is quite good. I mean, the first leg is quite good. There's no challenge as such. But if you still want to probably experience better food and on your journey, I would have chosen the Qatar option for sure versus an Indigo. At least that's my 2 cents. Again, if somebody else has an experience, somebody I saw in the chat had spoken about how they had a fantastic experience even on the Indigo leg, but like I would have preferred the Qatar leg.
For sure, for sure. Amya, let's come to you. Question from Nikhil. Anyways, I can use Avios for a flight from Amsterdam to Charles de Gaulle to Bombay on economy. He doesn't want to pay a lot of taxes.
Avios, no, but I think from here there's a couple of things you can do. I mean, easy one is you can do. There is a direct flight, right? For the Air France or KLM one, you can use Flying Blue. Occasionally they have these promos, and I believe last month they had a great promo for Bombay as well. The other option is always going to be Virgin. Virgin will get you this flight for 15,000 miles plus 10,000, 100 pounds in taxes. I think those are the sweet spots. Yes, the tax outlay is high, but the points requirement is incredibly low. So I think it is still worth it. Avios, not too many great ways of doing it. You'll have to come via.
You can do. Is that a direct flight? If not, you can do Qatar, no? Like you can do Qatar economy, right?
Taxes will be high. Doha typically is going to charge you high airport fees.
Yeah.
So we are not able to solve your tax issues, unfortunately. But if you don't have any other restriction, net, I still think the Virgin flight works out beautifully here.
Right, let's get going with more comments. I'm seeing lots of them coming in. Abdul, thanks Abdul for tuning in. Glad you're enjoying the show. Abhilash is saying this session will motivate others to enter the Avios ecosystem. Absolutely, Abhilash. I think points and miles is such a beautiful thing. More and more people should absolutely make use of this. Aditya is saying best way to spend Friday evenings. Glad that resonates with you, man. I mean, these comments make our day. So again, thanks Aditya for saying that. Devansh is here, and Devansh is saying 10K sub soon. Man, so happy you are tracking it. Me, Ameya, and Dhimant, we keep looking at that number, and we were also like today when we were discussing in the morning, we were like, holy shit, we're at 9,600, 400 subscribers, and we'll be at that 10K number. Again, super happy that we've been interacting with you guys for the last 7 months, and help us get there. Help us get to 10K faster. So if you haven't yet, guess what? 50% of our views come from people who have not subscribed to us. So guys, if you are watching us on YouTube, it is our primary mode of communication with you guys. Please like, please subscribe. It will help us, and it'll go a long way. It'll show us that you really love the show. So that's the request. And yes, Devansh, let's celebrate when we hit 10K. Let's come to some more comments. Amir, let's come to you. So Vidur is saying he's trying to book Chennai HK on Qatar. He's not able to find availability for most dates for 13K Avios. We in our earlier episode mentioned that Qatar has good availability. Is he doing something wrong? So Vidur, I think you should clarify, like, how many seats are you looking for? 1 or 2 seats, it's normally available. But if you're trying for a family of 4, that could be a problem. That's my initial diagnosis. But let's go to the specialist. Amir, thoughts here?
No, sometimes it doesn't show up. I will say if you absolutely want to book it using Avios, move them into Iberia and try to book using that. Again, I think Damon just mentioned this a number of times in the past, but make sure that your names and email addresses and everything else are absolutely the same. Otherwise, you risk this getting stuck. Typically, it should show up in Iberia if it doesn't come up here.
Okay, so 3 things, Vidur, you need to be careful about. One, and again, like I don't know how many people on DM have asked the same question, right? So I'm clarifying this once again. One, you may be doing something wrong. Cathay's reward redemption seats don't open up like Qatar 365 days in advance. In fact, they release most of the seats closer to the date, even for Asia Miles. So there are many cases where 2 months down the line, you may not see even Cathay Pacific Asia Miles availability. And 45 days ke baad, suddenly within 45 days travel, it opens up like crazy, right? So keep an eye on that. The same is also true for Qatar and Iberia. I've seen many cases where Qatar flight was not available, Qatar pe, lekin Iberia pe it was available. Check the flight on Iberia. If it's working, move it to British Airways and then to Iberia and then book it. So I think there must be 3 things that you could be doing wrong, Vidur. One is you could be looking at a date which is far away. That could be a problem on HK because they don't release it so much in advance. Second is you could be looking at a scenario where you're looking at 3-4 seats like other sets, which you will not see. Always try searching for 1 seat first. If it is not available, then there is a genuine availability challenge, right? So and last is obviously look at Iberia and Qantas for the same seat. You may be able to find it.
All right. Another comment from Anish, which says that he's a big fan. He saved time on his Bali trip thanks to us. He'll be doing a Europe-only miles Accor trip next year. Awesome, man, Anish. Thanks for that shout out. Do let us know where you're planning to go. Do let us know how you're eyeing those redemptions and where all you're planning to stay. We'd love to learn. Another message, another comment has come in from, let's say here, Maitresh, who's saying that he's joined the party late due to meetings. He'll see the earlier part later. Now he wants to be with us. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, man, Maitresh. These kind of comments, we just love, geeking out with you guys on all things points and miles. Let's talk about more things here. There's a question from Anish, which says, what's the ideal redemption, mileage-wise, to Paris/Zurich for 2 people? Now, Anish's question is not necessarily restricted to the Avios ecosystem, but he's saying if he looks at all ecosystems combined, what's like ideal? Anish, this would be, I think, a function of what cards you hold. So, for example, if you've exhausted your Group A in Axis, Atlas, and Magnus Burgundy, this is a great utilization of Group B, particularly with Air France. I think that can be a great combo that you could look at. If you have some points in Aeroplan, then you can use that Aeroplan to book Air India. That would be like a great redemption as well. And then for Avios, I'm sure there are tons of options as well. So Ameya, Hemant, any alternative thoughts?
Yeah, Singapore Airlines, you can use to book the Swiss Air flight into Zurich. I have heard great things about their business class. Taxes will be high, but I mean, if you're going to Switzerland, then sure, just make it a nice trip.
Yeah, can also look at flying blue to Paris. Like if you're not eyeing if you're booking it early and not going for the dynamic rates, if you book in time, you may get a great Group B redemption on Access ecosystem by doing flying blue as well.
All right, makes sense. Let's come to our next question. This is from Raghu. Raghu's saying that he's got 3 lakh edge reward miles on his Magnus Burgundy. He wants to fly to Peru on a business class seat for him and his wife. His wife has got an Atlas card and she has currently 19,000 edge miles. So if he's got 3 lakhs edge rewards, that's 2.4 lakhs, and then put 38K together so that she's sitting on 2.78 lakh, whatever, air miles currency, if you think about it. Amya, let's get thinking about it. Peru, what are our options?
Okay, so now that we are on the Avios one, and this is a bit of a very corner case, but I guess it works for Raghu. Iberia can turn out to be one of the cheapest ways for booking these transatlantic flights into South America. So if you're able to do something like India to Spain and then Spain into South America, you might end up saving a significant amount of money by doing this. With respect to combining the Avios itself, right? If you're doing it in Avios, if you do want to combine, I think one of the easiest ways you can do it through Qatar. They've got a good family plan, but I'll recommend try to use it for hotels and stuff. Like they've got decent coverage in Accor, and they also have some 2x, 3x offers going on right now.
Awesome. So we've got another question coming up here. Let me just flash it on screen. 1 second. Let's come here. Yes. Very interesting question from Ankur. And Ankur is saying, Amya, he needs to buy an engagement ring from Tanishq. He's got DCB metal and Access Atlas. What's the best way?
I think Tanishq vouchers you can pick up from DCB if I'm not wrong. I have not done this for a while. So I don't know. I mean, not just the engagement ring part, but the Tanishq part also. But I think you can get the vouchers. And I guess that would be the best way, the way I look at it.
All right, let's come to another one, Amya, which is for you. Harsh is saying, would be awesome if you can share your framework/strategy to buy Tanishq jewelry, HDFC ecosystem. He's got both the DCB metal and Infinia.
Let me do one thing, right? I'll put out a tweet thread by gathering this information from people who do a lot more gold buying. I don't think my information is necessarily up to date, but do just follow in on Twitter and we can, I'll try to post this out.
Right. Rohan is saying, can you plan a Mumbai meetup? There are lots of comments that we're getting, Rohan. So let me just give you visibility of our calendars, right? So every Friday, like you all know, we do either a live stream or we release one of our podcast episodes. So today we decided to do this live stream, which is why there's no podcast episode releasing today. Next week, on Friday, 3 p.m. IST, as usual, there'll be a lovely credit cards episode dropping. It's going to be a fun one. We have someone from a Big Four company who's coming and talking to us, and we've geeked out a lot. It's a fun episode. So that's coming next Friday. Tomorrow, Amya and me and Dhimant are meeting to record 3 more new episodes that will launch later this month. So today is the live stream. Tomorrow we're recording 3 new episodes. Next Saturday we have our Miles Ahead workshop that we're doing in Bangalore. This is a workshop where we teach you how to book using points and miles. Phenomenal response from Bangalore. We put it out there on Twitter. Within 8 hours, it got sold out. 48 hours, it kind of got sold out. So if those of you are interested to do this in any other city, which is Bombay, Delhi, Hyderabad, Chennai, we've been getting multiple requests. Please fill in this form on this particular URL, milesahead.greatindianmiles.com. And what we'll do is, based on this, we'll track responses and we'll plan a workshop in that city. And then for meetups, we executed a very successful meetup in Bangalore a couple of weeks back called Flight Mode. Again, we put it out and in 8 hours it got sold out. So again, very, very grateful to all of you guys. 40 of you came. We had a blast. And if you want to sign up for Flight Mode in your city, please go to this particular URL. greatindianmiles.com/flight-mode-June 2025. While this event is over, we've put in a form there. Please put in your details. And the next time we come to your city or we decide to launch, we will email the people who sign up there first, and before we go to social media. So please fill in your details, and then we'll get in touch with you guys, and we'll take it from there. So looking forward to meeting you there. Rohan, do sign up and keep us posted. Let's come to a few more odd comments that are not necessarily related to Avios. Lots more Avios comments coming in, but these comments have come repeatedly. So I just want to take a minute to take these comments. Okay. So Dhimant, Vineet is saying that he's got 250,000 Amex points, wants to do a Maldives trip for 2. What's the best way to convert? I can go with my answer here. I've done Maldives a couple of times. So if you're going with kids, Vineet, you're not going with kids. It looks like it's a trip for 2. So in this case, I'd say do the Lee Meridian Maldives. You should be able to get it for 200K points. It will be fantastic. Like 5 nights, 200K. The only additional cost is you'll have to pay for seaplane transfers. That will be about $900. That goes from your pocket. Now, if you're a platinum, then you get breakfast free. But if you're not a platinum, this can be expensive. So think about it. The menus of all the restaurants and all the hotels are available on Flyer Talk. So you can go to Flyer Talk and download the menus so you can estimate how much your F&B expense will be. But Lee Meridian is absolutely gorgeous. I've also stayed at Sheraton. Now, Sheraton's a property which is good for kids because kids eat free there. And it'll be available for lesser. So maybe about 160,000 you should be able to get. And both places you should easily get the overwater villa. A cool property that I was just tracking today, believe it or not, guys, the St. Regis, which is the top end of the Marriott portfolio, if you go in August in the first week, it is available for 440K Bonvoy. I think that's like a stellar deal if somebody is able to get it. If you're platinum and if you're sitting on a ton of Amex points, St. Regis at 440, you don't get them that cheap anymore. To compare, like the Ritz-Carlton is going for about 560 at this point in time. So I would say move your points to Bonvoy, go have that amazing holiday. If you're choosing Sheraton, then with Sheraton, there are speedboat transfers. So you save that $900. But for every other hotel, factor in that $900 of speed plane transfers. But Amir, Dhiman, do chime in any other thoughts you may have.
Adil, thank you so much for making us feel so garib. Like I'm just on a lighter note, but
मैं खोलूं अभी आपके कितने points हैं, कहाँ है, Burgundy private किसके पास है? There is a question. I'm going to flash it right now. Right? It says, Dhimant, how did you get the Burgundy private? What is the qualification criteria?
Yeah, on a lighter note, I think that's fine. But Vineet, on Adil's suggestion, bang on suggestion for the hotel, I think just take a revenue flight to Maldives. Don't try to get a flight pay miles for Maldives. Maldives ke flights are very, very cheap here. Just go with the revenue option. And by the way, like if you are sitting on a ton of Accor points also, and Amex is not being able to fulfill your Marriott need, you can also look at some of the Accor properties in Maldives. They're pretty good. Like obviously not as good as the one that Adil suggested, but they're pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know how to answer this, but there is a question from SR which says, Adil, Amia, Dhimant, any chance of getting a wildcard entry for the Bangalore meetup? Yeah, we are completely sold out. In fact, we had 20 people. We thought 20 people, but by the time we saw the form, 25 of you registered. So we closed it at that. But Dhimant, Amia, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah, by the way, I'm just clarifying this. It's not a meetup, it's a workshop. So we're super excited. SR, I don't know what the full name is, SR, but again, we're going to keep doing this, SR, right? So here is my thought. Like these workshops are about one, obviously meeting us, but at the same time, starting your journey and fast tracking your journey towards your first or your 10th vacation, right? So it will help you identify which partners you have, which partners you can transfer to, which are the most efficient routes. So SR will keep doing more, man. Like happy to. But if there is something urgent and you want our help, please feel free to DM us on Twitter, and we'll try and see if we can help you offline as well.
Awesome. With that, let's come to another comment. Swati is pinging us saying that she's just completed a booking to Peru from Bangalore. She booked Bangalore to JFK first as a cash plus Avios rate because surprisingly it was cheaper than a regular award rate. JFK to LIM with LATAM via Q Avios. Swati, I'm very curious,
Deadly.
man. Like, tell us if you can, and if you're open to it, tell us like how much cash and how much Avios, because this will be good learning for all of us in the ecosystem, and perhaps we can track this going forward, right? And a few of us who plan to go to Peru or other parts which are close to Peru can potentially make the most of this as well. So great learning. Thank you for sharing, Swati. But do share specifics in terms of cash and the number of Avios used, because I think this will help us a lot. Back to more questions. Pankaj is saying more live streams, please. Absolutely, Pankaj. We are trying. We are at peak capacity right now. Three of us have full-time jobs. We're trying to do the full-time jobs and these at the same time. And when we started, we didn't know yaar ki itna kuch ho jayega. Podcast, meetup, live stream, workshop. So there are lots of ideas. We'd love to. Please bear with us. We promised we'll do a meetup. We did the meetup. We promised we'll do a workshop. We are doing a workshop. The next goal for us is to take flight mode, which is our meetup, to Bombay and Delhi. And then our goal is also to take the workshop to Bombay and Delhi. Obviously, our commitment to you is we'll try to bring regular podcasts and one live stream a month. That is something that we are doing at this point in time. There's another Adil who's tuned in. Adil is saying he loves the show. Thank you, Adil. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for telling us. We really enjoy comments like these. Hemant, you are the prediction guy between the three of us, and you are what do you call अंतर्यामी है क्या बोलते हैं उसको हिंदी में? आप वो बाबा हो जो predict करते हो और फिर वो सच हो जाता है. So when do you think ICICI will introduce their partner programs in iShop when it comes to flight and hotel partners?
See, I'll tell you what I feel, Adil, and like I have reason for saying this. One, obviously, I know for sure that the plan was to launch these partners in June, July. However, I feel that ICICI may have shot themselves in the foot by releasing these too early. They now have a very accurate estimation of how many points people have already in their accounts. Today, Surya, if you look at it, if they know exactly how many people are going to probably move their points to Accor, and they know how much it is going to cost them. So I think they are rethinking their entire strategy right now, and there may be a slight delay in how they're thinking about it. My guess is anytime is September, is my guess. October, September, August and September is my guess. September is more likely. Again, spoke to a few people whom I know in ICICI, etc., and this is my estimation at least. But I think the CC geeks, like we call ourselves, may have shot ourselves in the foot by overdoing iShop, and there is a serious cost implication to these banks, right? So, for example, if people don't know here, the cost of an Accor point to the bank is 1.1 or 1.2 rupees, right? So they have to be very smart about how they think about this.
Awesome. So, guys, what we're doing now is we tuned in here today to talk about the Avios ecosystem. We've talked a lot about the ecosystem. We started first by talking about what is the Avios system. We helped you get a foundational understanding. We then talked about what is the earn potential. We helped you identify how to earn in India. And then we talked about sweet spots of booking Avios, where all you can go and what possibilities are. And we discussed a little bit of strategy tips and watchouts as well. Now, I think we've got a few more comments that are beyond Avios. So we'll take a few of them. And I'll just bring those comments up. First up, Yesdi is saying that he thanks us for all the videos. Yesdi, again, thanks for tuning in. We love comments like these. There is a question from Dhanush. And Dhiman, maybe you can take this. He says, can you tell me the best card for offline shopping or groceries? He's unable to get HSBC Live. What card can he potentially target?
Dhanush, I think what will help here is obviously thanks for clarifying that you can't get HSBC Live, because that would have been my first recommendation. Here is what I think, Dhanush, right? Let's talk groceries first. The best way to handle this is, I would say there are three cards that you should think of. One was HSBC Live. You leave that apart. Second is if you are buying your groceries from, let's say, an offline player, offline players typically don't have multipliers, right, on vouchers and these multipliers. So the best way to start off your journey would be that get a Regalia Gold and start your way up, right? So my suggestion would be, in such a scenario, don't worry about a grocery specific card. Get a generalist card, because it will give you, returns everywhere. So what I would have done in a situation, Dhanush, is I would have got one RuPay card because a lot of people offline also accept UPI scans, and they don't necessarily allow you to swipe. So get a good UPI card, one out of either Tata Neu, Scapia, some of these cards, right, which is a LTF, and it also brings in a lot of travel benefits. Uh, for example, a Tata Neu will also get you a tier on your Tata Neu journey, right? You will also get discounts on Air India. You will also get discounts on Taj. All of those, right? They get unlocked. Or on the other hand, if you get something like Scapia, you get travel coins, and you can start getting lounge visits. You can use airport food benefits. So I would have done Regalia Gold plus one of the RuPay cards. That would have been my strategy.
Awesome.
There is one player that you can potentially go for. After Kotak Mahindra has been allowed to get cards issued, there is something called Essentia card, if I'm not wrong. That also gives you a 10% on groceries. Problem is they've got a high joining fees and no joining benefits per se, but they do have some interesting benefits with respect to movie tickets. I'd say do that evaluation. There's a chance for a certain spending point that it may work out for you. Kotak, I believe it's called Essentia, if my memory serves me right.
I'm not sure about this. Don't track Kotak.
All right, let's come to another one where we've got a very interesting question by MS. And I like the word MS. It reminds me of something in CC Geek parlance. So if you have to choose only one card, I don't want to talk about that word. If you three have to choose one card, which you have to choose in the next 1 year, which card will it be? Which is the current OG card in the market currently? Yeah, for me, MS, it is undoubtedly Magnus Burgundy. I mean, there's no better card the way I see it. It is, I don't know if I'll call it the OG card, but the Magnus did introduce most Indians to this amazing world of points and miles. A lot of people earlier on Smart Buy were just using it as cash for booking tickets and hotels. But Magnus, I think, gets the claim to fame for introducing the whole world, particularly Indians, to points and miles. So according to me, it's Magnus Burgundy. 4.8% base reward rate, 14% reward rate every month if your spends are more than 1.5 lakhs. That would be my top pick as the one card if I had only one card and if I were to choose that and nothing else. But Amya, Hemant, let's go with you guys.
For me, the answer is in the question itself. I would use the one card, the Burgundy private card. It's called the one card. I would use that. Three reasons. One, flat 6%. I think that if I average out the AEP of Magnus Burgundy over a year, right, I think it still comes in that 6% range only. Because if you look at 3 months of AEP and the remaining at 4.8, वो 6-7 के आसपास ही आता है. So that's one reason. Second is 4x is zero, right? So with so much of travel that we do, it's basically a no-brainer. And third, it has got a slightly higher Group A limit versus Magnus Burgundy. So my choice was between Magnus Burgundy and Burgundy Private, but I would choose the one card. I mean, if I have to carry one card in my pocket, that would be it.
Amya?
Yeah, Magnus Burgundy, easy answer. I'll just repeat what you said, but yeah.
Awesome. Let's come to another question, which is by Sagar. He says, hello guys, amazing clarity of thoughts and ideas on the podcast. Thanks, Sagar. Glad you're enjoying it. Need help for Singapore trip. He has 48,000 edge miles on Atlas. Anyways, I can use these. So yeah, Sagar, this is a solved problem, right? You have amazing points. 48,000 edge miles is equal to 96,000 Singapore Airways miles. Now the question is, it reminds me of करना क्या चाहते हो? Like, that is the question. So do you want to go solo? Do you want to go with a partner? Do you want to go with a family? That's the question. So solo ke liye, I'll give you amazing options. So for example, you can do Delhi, Singapore, or you can do Bombay, Singapore first class and experience Singapore Qsuites for 58,500 SQ miles. That's option one. Option two, you could do a business class round trip on either A380s, Singapore Airlines, which is Bombay or Delhi, to Singapore for 43,000 SQ. So in 86,000, you'll get a return business class trip. But if you want to experience the A350s, then you could do, for say, 86K, Bangalore, Singapore, return business class in the A350. If you do Hyderabad or Ahmedabad, you might probably have the regional product, which is the which is not the A350, which is, I think, one of the Boeing planes, if I'm not mistaken. For economy, I think like is it 20K approximately, Dhimant, Amya? One-way economy
20K.
to
It's 20.
yeah,
20K.
20K, right?
20K.
And if you watch out for spontaneous escapes, you can get like return business for 56K, which is 28K one way, which is crazy. I've never seen a first class available in like promo fares of SQ, but business has often been snagged by multiple people. If you are with family, then probably makes sense to do like an economy redemption. Oftentimes you'll get seats up to 4 seats on economy and in business. So all the best. The possibilities are endless, in my opinion. If even you could also consider doing like a Singapore to Europe, you should be able to do it in the kind of points that you have. You could also do US for that matter in economy. Business will be a little more expensive. It will probably be in the 125K range, 128K range. New Zealand through and through to business one way could be 128K range. So those are my thoughts. But Ameya, Dhiman, feel free to chip in.
Look, I would think about it differently. The fact that you asked economic question to me and Amaya, we realized that you don't fly economy on Singapore ever. But I'll tell you, Adil, what I think. There's a different way of thinking about it. I'll be more practical, right? He cannot convert the 48,000 edge miles to 96,000 Singapore Crest Flyer because of the Group A restriction. You need to remember that it's not possible, and he cannot split it across 2 years unless he's flying in a particular time period, right? So the right way to do it in my head would be, I would convert the 30,000 to 60,000 Accor points. I would use that to fund my Swissôtel / Fairmont, right? Have an amazing stay of 3 or 4 nights, which is very much doable. In fact, Chad, if you are lucky, you may even get 5 nights. And then probably try to do the Group B ka jo miles are remaining with him. He can probably move it to Air India and do an economy round trip to Singapore using your Air India miles, right? Which is what, 12,000, Amay? From Bangalore, Singapore is 12,000? Or it's Delhi, Singapore, right?
13,000. No. The Bangalore one is cheap. Delhi becomes like almost 2x. Bangalore one is 12 to 13,000.
That's another way of thinking about it, Adil. I mean, if you want to enjoy hotels more and okay to fly economy because it's a short flight, probably do the Swissôtel Fairmont experience and be able to. You can use Group A, Group B both.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, for example, whatever works, right? Everyone could have different expectations. So absolutely feel free. No two things are different. So just showing up, it's fascinating on a Friday evening. We have more than 1,000 people tuned in live to watch us. So awesome, guys. Thank you so much. We are 150 on YouTube. We are 500 on the Great Indian Mile Twitter handle watching live. There are about 180 on my Twitter, and there are 170 on Dhiman's Twitter. So again, big thanks all of you for tuning in. We are having an absolute party interacting with you guys. But it's already been 1.5 hours since we've been talking to you. I think we'll try and wrap it up. Before we wrap it up, I want to do a rapid fire with Dhimant and Ameya. So the way we'll do it is, I'll ask the first question to Dhimant, and then as soon as Dhimant finishes his answer, immediately comes to Ameya. And then I'll ask the second question to Dhimant, and it comes to Ameya, right? So I've got 5 questions. Guys, be prepared. No thinking time. You have to react instantly. And the audience, you all put in your answers as well immediately in the chat so that we know what is your point of view as well, and we can have this rapid fire not just with Dhimant and Ameya but also with the audience. All right, let's get started.
Awesome.
Dhimant, best card for earning Avios?
Best card, Access Atlas.
Ameya?
Indus for the welcome and Atlas for earning.
Dhimant, best card for transferring to multiple Avios programs. Which card has more versatility?
Easily access ecosystem.
Ameya?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. You get it into Avios, you can move it around. It's fine.
Best Avios redemption for under 50K miles, Dhimant?
For me, it's Cathay on Qatar. I mean, amazing to do Hong Kong redemption. I mean, if you have a plan for Hong Kong with your family, go Disneyland. I think it's an amazing redemption. Cheap as hell.
Ameya?
Europe to US kind of redemptions. I think very cheap and nice return.
All right. Let's come to our next one. Most underrated sweet spot according to both of you. Dhimant?
Most underrated sweet spot in my head would be using Qatar Airways to go to the Qsuite experience to any European. That would be the sweet spot. I know the taxes are higher, but I compare it to the revenue rates. I don't think I'll ever fly Qsuites on revenue. So for me, that's a sweet spot.
Amya?
I was going to say the same. So yeah.
All right. Final question, and you'll have to think a bit for this. Avoid using Avios on which platform? Because what reason? Avoid using Avios here for this reason.
I would say avoid using Avios on Finnair on the HDFC platform is because once you move to Finnair, the same flight can be booked in much better ways. So don't use the Finnair platform at all to book the flights. Book it on, let's say, Qatar. That would be my answer. Or any other partner that works better.
Amya?
For single flights, more often than not, Qatar is mostly going to be cheaper than British. So I'd say, avoid British. British does have
British. No. 1 second, Amay, I want to stop here. Don't fly British because of this problem. Don't fly British in general. There's only one airline which I've had severe hate rate for the longest period of time, and it's British Airways. So I'm just sorry for cutting you, but yeah.
Now that we are on the Avios episode, and before ending, I will give my final, British secret hack for the episode. So one very interesting thing that British allows you to do is it allows you to book award flights, connecting flights of sorts, across multiple airlines on the One World ecosystem, right? And they charge it by distance, the total distance of your thing. So if you have there's a really long route that you're planning, like say for example, Swati has been talking of Lima and stuff, right? This can be a very underrated way of getting max value from your Avios. So essentially you call up British and you say, okay, fly on British using this and fly using some other carrier for that, and you keep adding it together and you will get a phenomenal return. You can probably do like around the world in 200,000 points business. I think more on that coming soon.
All right. I want to end this podcast with a very fun story. My very good friend, Mr. Dimant, had a very, very fun experience with Avios. It was a horror story, but finally he was able to resurrect himself. Dimant, let's bring you in. Please tell our audience, because this is an important story to hear, because I think oftentimes people could potentially get stuck in scenarios like this, and it's very important for them to know, because you think, yahan se yahan bhejte hain, yahan se yahan bhejte hain, from there to there it'll be easy and I'll have this dream vacation, and then the nightmare hits you, right? So Dhiman, walk us through the scenario. Why did you attempt what you attempted? What happened, and how did you finally come out of it?
Not something that I'm very proud of as my journey, but it's taught me a lot. So when the first Axis devaluation hit, there was a time period in which you had to do a speculative transfer. So I had to do speculative transfer. I moved it to Accor. The reason I moved it to Accor is because I had a plan to go to Norway, and I wanted to book the Delhi Helsinki flight. And I thought the way I'll do it is, jab bhi wo requirement aayegi, I'll move from Accor to Iberia. Right, and if that flight never happens, then it's anyway safe in Accor, right? That was my thought. That's why I did this Jamela. Right now, there are 2-3 problems that I encountered. I want to cover that. Number one, my Iberia miles. First thing which I did not know was that you cannot move anything out of Iberia for 90 days. Right, so if you are thinking कि मैं Accor से Iberia डाल के Iberia से I'll move to British Airways immediately, it doesn't happen. So there's a cool off period of 90 days. So all of you guys, please create your Iberia account today before you transfer anything there. There's a 90-day cool off period. Number one. So that I had to wait 90 days. By the time my 90th day finished, that flight availability was gone. The flight that I wanted to book, right? And I had no other miles at that point of time. That number one. Second, once that 90-day period over, I still couldn't transfer the miles. So there was a very simple reason which it took me like 30-45 days to figure out is all your accounts on the Avios ecosystem, British Airways, Iberia, Qatar, they have to have the same name, they have to have the same address, and they have to have the same email ID and date of birth, right? If any of them is different, it doesn't work. Right, so please just make sure that all of them is in sync. Very funnily, each of these airlines, because they are from different countries, the date of birth is also taken separately. कहीं पे day पहले है, कहीं पे month पहले है. So my date and month got interchanged on the Iberia, and we couldn't figure it out because both of them are first single digit numbers. I couldn't figure out कि वो गलत था, right? So that was one issue that happened. How do you solve this? You correct all and then you move it to Qatar, right? So it was stuck for 6 months, by the way, right? So after this happened, the miles finally went to British Airways. Now, again, it got stuck in British Airways. The British Airways to Qatar couldn't be moved because of whatever unknown reason. I had to call Qatar, and Qatar told me that it is stuck at British Airways end. And when I spoke to British Airways, I realized that British Airways, you have to actually inform them when you do the first transfer to Qatar. Right. So all of this this is an important thing to note. Please note these three things. Make your Iberia account in advance. Second is make sure that your name and addresses are same across all the things. Third is from Finnair to British Airways, you need a VPN to move it. Once you've done all these steps, Adil, you are basically your entire circle of interoperability works like makhan. Right. So those miles are still stuck, by the way. They're still stuck. I have not used them. So
Yeah, but you have access to them. You can use it to book whatever you want, but you've got access now, right?
yes, I have access. I can use them. By the way, Avios ka the best use outside any of the things that we spoke about is if you are IPL fans, right? Wait for Qatar's for IPL matches. They are brilliant ways. One of our friends and who also came on an episode, Pallav, who is the founder of BoldFit, also was able to book the Virat Kohli meet and greet with his Avios. There is phenomenal value. Also, they do auctions for F1 events, right? So these are sporting events for which Qatar has auctions. So also look out for that as well.
Awesome. There's a question from Eknad who says, Adil bhai, how's the raffle strip? I have 1 lakh Accor points I'm thinking to try. We'll have to do a special dedicated episode for this, Eknad. But short answer, if you're thinking about raffles, one of those luxury redemptions, I would say absolutely go for it. It is an incredible experience. You'll absolutely enjoy it. I have a detailed thread that I put up on Twitter. So if you go to my account on Twitter, you'll be able to see it. We'll try and cover this in a podcast soon. But hands down, an incredible experience. One of my probably the best stay I've had in India yet, across properties, across brands, not just in Accor. The hospitality, the palace itself is just majestic. It's incredible. So with that,
Adil, one last thing I wanted to ask because this question came up. I'm sure a lot of people have this question. If you were to do this again, considering now there is a Fairmont, would you do the Fairmont or would you do the Raffles? Because Fairmont is cheaper than Raffles at this point of time.
I would love to do both. I've not seen the Fairmont. I don't know. But for me, I booked the Hera rate because I got a very attractive Hera rate. It was irresistible to not take the Hera rate. So it just worked out for me. And I couldn't spend another day in Udaipur because I had commitments in Bangalore a day prior and a day later. So there was no way I could have stayed for an extra day. Now, if I could, I would have definitely done at least one night at the Fairmont as well. For those of you who have the Accor Silver membership and Stay Plus membership, you can use the free night voucher at the Fairmont Udaipur. But keep in mind, they will charge you 5,000 rupees plus taxes on top of that Stay Plus voucher. That's the term and condition if you want to use it at Fairmont brand in India. So I would say definitely, keep a watch on that. I haven't been to the Fairmont. It looks amazing by the pictures. I'll wait for a few reviews by people who are going there to come and give reviews. But I'd say do both if you can, right? 4 days holiday in Udaipur, why not?
Awesome.
All right. So with that, guys, this has been a fantastic episode. Big thanks to all 1,068 people who are currently live tuning in to us right now. That's a wrap on our Avios deep dive. From short hops in Europe to those luxury Qsuite experiences, we now hope you can use Avios not just as a currency, but as real strategy to bring your plan to life. Big thank you, Dimant and Ameya, for dropping pure gold today. Big thanks to all of you, all 1,068 of you who tuned in and enjoyed this episode with us and geeked out with us on this lovely Friday evening. If you like this, please do not forget to follow the Great Indian Points and Miles Show on YouTube. Subscribe to us, like us, and then share us. And until next time, keep earning smarter, keep flying smarter. It's a wrap from Ameya Dhimantanadil from the Great Indian Points and Mile Show.
Lights flashing bright, we're on the go. Tune in now, there's so much to know. Earning bits, travel dreams we sow, all aboard the Great Indian Points and Mile Show. 0 to hero in the blink of an eye. Fly first class, no need to be shy. Redemption suite, touching the sky. Award seats booked, let's give it a try. Award seats booked, let the points flow. It's all aboard the Great Indian Points and Mile Show. Unlocking journeys wherever you go. The sky's the limit, feel the travel mojo.